Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany and today we are starting month 3 of our Mosaics and More 2026 Block of the Month program. So if you haven't already joined, there's a link in the bottom of the show notes. It's not too late. You can join and then you will also get access to the patterns from January and February. So I encourage you to take a look at that link, join up with us and start stitching with us. For those of you who are unaware, this is a Block of the Month program. We're going the entire year, so there's going to be 12 blocks that we're doing. We're working on basic blocks, so nothing's going to be too difficult, but it's a great program for beginners. And we'll be doing, very foundational type of squares and blocks. So we'll be doing lots of half square triangles, flying geese, and then just really working on our 1/4 inch seam and our points, making sure that we are, taking the time to try to perfect those. So there's 12 patterns included with this program. And then there's a 13th pattern that is a bonus. In that 13th pattern, it will show you how to put all of the blocks together. So if you haven't already joined, please do so. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, this month's pattern is the Old Maid Puzzle. For those of you who are following along or who are already members of the club, please pull out your pattern and the instructions so that you can see the sizes of the material that we're going to be using. So I'm going to just pan over to do a quick overview of the different cuts. There are not a whole lot, so we're going to be doing for this particular pattern, there are several half square triangles, and we're going to be doing them several at a time. So we're going to do a bunch, not a bunch, but a set that are 4 at a time, and then we'll also be doing some 8 at a time half square triangles. So again, go ahead and get your material, and we're going to get started. We're going to just be following along in the pattern instructions. I do want to mention that Art Gallery Fabric has very graciously donated the material that I'm using for this series. So I want to thank them for that opportunity to work with them in this way, and encourage you all to look for Art Gallery Fabric in your favorite pattern, in your favorite quilt stores. So, okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start by making 4 half square triangles at a time. So let me show you how we will be doing that. So we're going to take 2 squares and we're going to line them up. Line up all the corners. What we're going to do is using a 1/4 inch seam, we're going to sew all around the entirety of this square. And then we're going to come back and then we're going to cut corner to corner or two diagonal lines. And then that's going to produce the 4 half square triangles that we're going to need to start. So let's go over to our sewing machine and get started. Okay, so we're going to, again, we're going to just sew around all 4 edges of the square. Okay, so next we're going to make our 2 cuts that are going to create our 4 half square triangles. So I'm just going to grab my ruler here and my rotary cutter. Okay, so now we're going to finger press. Okay, so we have our 4 half square triangles. Next, we're going to want to take them to our iron and press them flat, and then we're going to trim them to size. Okay, so now that we have our half square triangles pressed, I'm going to just trim them here to our size. And again, all of the sizing information is included in the actual written patterns that you can get when you join the Mosaics and More Block of the Month program. Okay, so we're going to just set our 4 half square triangles to the side. I'm going to clear off my cutting mat. Okay, so the next step, I'm following the instructions in our pattern, is to make half square triangles 8 at a time. So you didn't see any of that, so let me kind of just show you again. So as you can see here, I have my lighter colored square, and I have 2 diagonal lines that I've drawn from corner to corner. And so now I'm just going to pin these 2 pieces of material together so that when I take them to the sewing machine, they don't move around too much. So just a couple of pins. You don't need a lot. It's really just to kind of stabilize it while you're lifting it up and moving it. Okay, so when we take this to the sewing machine, we're going to sew a couple of lines here. So we're going to stitch 1/4 of an inch away from this line, actually from both lines on both sides. So on this line, we're going to take 1/4 of an inch all the way down the center or diagonally across the square. And again, we're going to do that on both sides. And then for the other diagonal that we've drawn, we're going to do the exact same thing. So where we're going to end up with our 4 stitches, 2 on either side of these lines. So let's get started with that now. Okay, so we're going to sew on both sides of this line here. That was a little while ago. I'm going to just keep it. Okay, so now we're going to do several cuts here. We're going to, let me take off my leaders here and take out the pins. Okay, we're going to make 4 cuts, and then we're going to end up with 8 half square triangles. Okay, so we want to cut along the lines that we've drawn on. So we're going to just cut across the 2 diagonal lines. Okay, and then we're going to cut 2 lines that are centered. So we're going to just line up our ruler here. You can line it up on the edge and make sure that you're going through the center of the triangles that you just cut. And there's 1 cut, and then we're going to do the same. So there's 2 diagonal cuts one horizontal cut and one vertical cut. Okay, so now we're going to finger press these open. And we're going to triangles, and we'll press them and turn them to size. Okay, so now let's take these to the iron and press them. Okay, so now we have our half square triangles. They are pressed and we're ready to trim to size as soon as I locate my ruler. Okay, so we have all of our half square triangles trimmed now. And so following along in the instructions, the next thing we're going to do is lay out all of the squares. You see that our block is starting to take shape here? Okay. And so one thing I do want to note, just so that when you're doing this, you don't think that you've done anything wrong, you are going to end up with 2 extra half square triangles. So I will just be putting these aside and I'll be using them in another project. Okay, so we have our square, our block laid out. We have all 16 squares laid out. And so what I'm going to do is to sew each row together in multiple steps. So for row 1, I'm going to take HST2 and I'm going to sew it to the B1 square. And then I'll do the same. I'll take HST1 and sew it to the HST2 square. And then I'm going to take those 2 pairs and sew them together to create row 1. So follow along and hopefully that becomes clearer as we walk through. So I have HST2 and the B1 square. I'm just lining them up corner to corner. And then I'm going to take HST1 and sew it to HST2. I'm going to line them up corner to corner. Okay, so now you can see here we have our 2 row pairs. Hopefully that comes across, or maybe we can see it better over here. So we have our 2 row pairs. And so now I'm going to take these 2 pairs and sew them together. Okay, so now I'm going to take row 1. I'm going to take row 1 and I'm going to press the seams and then I'll move on to row 2. Okay, so row 1 is complete. And so we're going to just continue down and we're going to do the same. So I'm going to take HST2 and I'm going to sew it to square B1. And I'm going to take HST. Oh, sorry, I'm struggling with what this is called. One second. Let me just refer to my notes. This is B1. B1. Okay, so I'm going to take B1 and sew it to HST1. And so I will just repeat that process. I'm going to sew these two pairs together. Okay, so here is row 2. Now I'm going to press the seams. Okay, so I have now completed rows 1 and 2, and I'm going to just continue on to do 3 and 4, and then we will put the block together. Okay, so we now have all 4 rows. So now we just need to sew them together. So we're going to sew them together, rows 1 and 2 together, rows 3 and 4 together, and then we'll come back and sew the 2 pairs together. So we just want to flip these over here, and then I'm going to line up the seams, and I'm going to pin. Okay, so that's row 1 and 2 pinned together. And now I'm going to do the same for rows 3 and 4. Okay, so now we're going to sew the rows together. So we have 1 and 2 pinned together. Okay, so we will sew rows 3 and 4 together now. Just feeding them through one after the other. Okay, so now I'm going to press these before I sew them together. So I'm just going to Okay, so we have our 2 halves of our block completed. So now just one more stitch and then we'll be done. I'm going to again just take these 2 halves and I'm going to line them up, and then I'm going to pin them and do our final stitch, and we'll Okay, so we have our final block here. This is the Old Maid Puzzle. This block for this particular Block of the Month program and the sizes of pieces of fabric that we use will measure finished at 12 inches squared. Of course, in this current state, it measures at 12.5 inches squared. So I'm just going to do the final press of this center seam here, and then we'll be done. Okay, that's it. So that completes our month 3 block of the month, Mosaics and More. This block was called Old Maid Puzzle. We made it primarily with half square triangles, so we did half square triangles 4 at a time, and we also walked through how to do half square triangles 8 at a time. I hope that you enjoy making this block. It is a pretty quick block. Obviously, once you get everything cut, it goes together pretty easy. So hopefully you've decided to join us, and we'll meet you back here next month where we will be working on block number 4. Block number 4 is called Odds and Ends, and it really, there's a couple of half square triangles, not a lot, and mostly just straight strips. So it's a lot of strip piecing. So I will meet you back here next month. Please like the video. I would love to hear your comments. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And we look forward to seeing you in our next video. And hopefully you'll join us next month, same time, for Mosaics and More Block of the Month Club. Have a good evening. Thanks. Bye.